Alright, so what's up guys? Today we're going to be replacing the alternator on this car. Recently I started getting some belt squeal going on. I took it to Chevy. They seemed to think it was the timing belt, but it wasn't. I popped the serpentine belt off and the noise stopped, so I knew it was in this set of pulleys. It's not the water pump, it's not the AC, so that leaves either the tensioner pulley or the alternator. And since the alternator was actually being dripped on by the throttle body heater hose for a good bit of time, I'm just going to take a safe assumption and say it was that. I mean, you can even hear the bearings inside of it, and it sounds pretty rough. So, and I mean, everything else is smooth as butter. So, first thing you're going to need for this, you're going to have to jack the car up. Definitely use jack stands, just as a safe precaution. Now, to take off this plastic shield that covers this, there's going to be 4 little snap tabs in there. Like this. Now to get these out, it's actually pretty easy. When they're in there, the clip's all the way down and it presses out on these tabs. All you gotta do, each one has a little spot. You take a flathead screwdriver, put it underneath of it, pull up on it, and what I was doing was taking my other finger and pulling up on the other side so it's an even 2-sided pull, and they basically just, the whole thing just pops out of it. And then you have the top piece, and then you'll have inside piece. This thing will just pull right out after the top's out of it. But what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a 1/2-inch wrench, flathead screwdriver, and I would definitely use some kind of extension when you get in there and start pulling at that tensioner pulley right here, because it has a lot of spring force behind it. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna get in there, get the wrench on it, and then you're gonna put the extension around the bottom end of it, of the wrench, and pull this way. You're gonna pull down, and it's gonna pull that pulley back so it gives the belt some tension. And then you're gonna take the belt off. That way it's not wrapped around the alternator. I already took the top screw out of the alternator, so alternator would sit up there. But so once that's off, then you can go ahead, loosen the screws to the alternator. Now it's gonna be, take a star socket for it, and the star socket is gonna look like this guy. It's gonna be an E14 star socket. That's what it looks like. I just went up and bought them over at AutoZone. But once you buy those, loosen up. There's a bolt on the bottom for the alternator, and then there's going to be a bolt right up here, right up there behind the plastic cover. And then, now the top bolt is not going to come out, so it won't come out until you take the bottom bolt out and then swing it down. And then the top bolt's gonna have to stay in. Once you take the bottom bolt out and the alternator drops down, you can take it out. Now, going underneath the car, as you can see, you got the alternator, and what you're gonna have to do is, you're basically in the back of the alternator. If I can get back there with my other hand. So the alternator is going to be sitting up there like this. Right away there's going to be this clip, and it's going to be stuck right here behind this. It's going to be plugged in. All you got to do, press the little clip down in the back, and it takes a little bit to push it back, but push the back of the clip down, and then it'll pop out, and then you can just go ahead and move that out of the way. And then also there will be this here, which is going to be directly beside the alternator, right beside that plug. Be like that. Now basically all you gotta do, take that plastic cover or rubber cover, peel it back, and it's going to be a 13mm socket that's going to take that nut off the back of it. Now once you do all that, and then the top nut's released, alternator will fold down. Get my hand out of there. And then what I would try to do, so what I found out is, with the alternator coming out, it comes against the exhaust pipe here. But now when you try to put another one in, basically what happens is, on the exhaust there's these little heat shield tabs, and it catches right on the edge because the alternator is almost shaped in like a half moon setup. So in order to get away from those tabs, I did it a rigged up way. You can do it with rope or anything, honestly. It'll help you out a lot, trust me. And the pipe will bend. It's on a flex pipe, so the pipe will bend a lot. Like, I mean, a lot. But I basically just took it over and tied it off over to basically the trans mount to get it so I can have more space and an opening over here. So basically, let's go ahead, pull the bottom bolt out, drop this alternator out, and then we'll move in, show you a little side-by-side comparison of old versus new, and then we'll put the new one in and we'll go from there. So also, the alternator is going to have to drop straight down. So you got the CV, you got a little drive shaft here in the way, you'll have the exhaust in the way, you'll have the brace of the car in the way. So just keep that in mind. And this is the only way it's going to come down, unless you either release the motor mounts and jump the engine up a little bit, a couple inches, to try to drop it out of the wheel well area, out of that way. But the easiest way so far, with minimal amounts of work, is dropping it straight down and moving the exhaust over to the side. You are going to have to wiggle it a little bit to get it out, but you'll still be able to get it out. Also, watch out for the oxygen sensor off the exhaust. Alright, so I'm going to put you guys down. I'm going to wiggle this alternator out. Okay, so the bottom bolt's out now. You take it, and then you can spin the alternator, that way the flat side's against the drive shaft, and then going at it, twisting it over a little bit. Basically just wiggle it down through, push it up against the exhaust, roll it towards CV joint. And you can keep pushing the exhaust out of the way too. And there you go. Alternator's out, came up through. You do have to wiggle it a little bit, but you can get it out through the bottom. So now the old one's out, drag it on over. And then here we have a little side-by-side. New versus old. And you can just hear the difference just in spinning it. So, and this is an alternator from Remy. Got it offline. I'll probably drop the link down below, either in the description, or I might even pop a little tab up here in this area. But yeah, so let's take this guy, stick him in, and wrap this up. The alternator. Now, if you see what I'm talking about, it's basically like almost a half moon. Arches up at the top and then flat at the bottom. Now, when you look at underneath the car, you'll see it's almost like a half moon setup as well. It'll basically go around there, and then it's flat towards the oil pan and the drive shaft. So the drive shaft will basically be your flat side, and then the curve area is where you're going to want to try to slip that up through. And remember, when you put it up through, put the top bolt in ahead of time, because you cannot put the top bolt in once the alternator is up in there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and wiggle this thing up in there, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got the new one up in there. Make sure you always put your bolts in, hold it in place, even that top one. And now we got that all in. You can slide back over this way, and then take rubber boot, open that up, and then in the back, get the post, slide that on. Take your 13mm nut, try to at least hand start it a little bit, that way that's all free on there. And like I said, this is a pretty tight spot up in here, so now that that's started, go ahead and take the plug and watch the connector. Now the tab is going to come towards you if you're underneath the car, so You just basically slide it in. You hear it click in as it locks. There's that. Go back over it. Finish hand tightening it down. Now that's all hand tightened. You come back over here. Screw these up a little bit tighter, that way it's not so difficult with the socket, because it is a tight spot. And then basically you got it on. Then all you gotta do is tighten everything up. Tighten that back one with a 13mm socket. Tighten these two front ones. With the E14 star socket. Then come over here, wrap the belt on, and the belt is going to go straight this way, straight up, straight across the water pump on the top, around the alternator, and then it's going to wrap around this and then hit that pulley. But I would put it on the tensioner first, because once you have it on the tensioner, if it's set like that, the way it normally sits on the tension mode, it'll stop it right there. So then you take your 1/2" wrench and your extension, pull it back, drop it on, fold your plastic cover back up, put your 4 push tabs in, put your rim back on with a 19mm socket, and you're all set. And that's how you put in your new alternator if you do start getting some alternator noises or belt noises from a bad alternator, or maybe the alternator just stopped charging. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, leave a like. Also, like always, subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helped you guys out. See ya.